At least they
Need
have
to
it.
move the camera back a little bit,
There
but
we go.
otherwise, we're good. Can you tell me if I don't have Sandy?
Oh, that's okay, you don't need to. I'm just fine.
We good?
Oh, you're missing Brian now. Go back. There we go. Perfect.
Or
Or Todd.
The other Brian. It's the other Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Thank you very much. You did it last time.
Was it me?
Yeah, oh, there you go.
I did
Perfect.
it twice, I
Oh.
think.
That's okay.
All right, sorry for the delay. We will eventually, we will get the meeting started. And it is 7:06, and we'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the board meeting of the Rhode Island Olivia Lake Lillian Independent School District number 2534, and I will read our mission statement. The mission of the Bold School District is to provide all learners in the Bold community an education designed to develop the creativity, character, confidence, and skills essential to flourish in a changing global society. Thank you all for being here. We'll begin with the approval of our agenda. Motion is made by Bowen,
I'll second.
seconded by Bookdale. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, recognition of visitors to the board meeting. Thank you all for coming out. And we'll move on to our public forum. And our public forum is based on the agenda for regular board meetings. During this part of each regular school board meeting, up to 10 minutes of time will be allowed for district constituents to address the school board. Each person and topic may have up to 2 minutes of time, and this is a time of listening by the board. If anybody would like to speak, now is the time, and please just come so we can have you on camera. So would anyone like to speak? All right, we will move on. Moving on to our consent items. We only need one motion to approve our consent items, and the consent items this month are approving the bills for payment and approving the minutes of the May 23rd, 2022 regular meeting.
So move Boolean.
Motion is made by Boleen,
Second Bookdale.
seconded by Bookdale. Any discussion or questions on any of the consent items?
I have just a couple, because I was gone last week on vacation, so I just got this today. We've got, like, some of these, there's a lot of reimbursements, but it doesn't say what it's reimbursed for. That looks like staff members.
Where are you at?
Okay, let's,
Could be mileage, could be,
usually she writes that in there. There's a bunch of different ones. It's,
You must be under,
hold on, let me-
the bills.
Yeah.
So what page?
Okay, so let's, like, page 20 of 27 on the top, you got one to Dan Gross. And then the next page, Jennifer Johnke, Joan Solom. They don't say what they're reimbursed for.
probably going to state for Jen Yankee going to state. I don't know.
Katie Ball. There's Cheryl Peterson.
504 managers.
Say that again?
Solom.
504 managers.
Oh, 504. So each teachers can be case managers for students who have 504 plans. So they get reimbursed up, it's in their contract, up to $300 a year on it.
And then there's one on 26 to 27, Tabitha Harrison. I thought we weren't using the nurse anymore. Nursing hours, $490.
Brett, do you remember what Tabitha was here for?
I wonder if that was a grant that we got through the county for human growth and development for fifth and sixth grade.
Oh, okay.
And,
Yep.
Either a reimbursement or some form there. I'd have to ask her. I don't know that.
Okay. I was just wondering, because I know we had made a motion a few meetings ago, quite a few meetings ago, not to have a nurse anymore, and then all of a sudden it showed up again. So I was just kind of wondering.
Anything else?
Other than that, I think that's pretty much all I got.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to personnel. Number 1, approve the resignation of Maggie Olson, elementary secretary, effective June 17th of 2022.
So move Benson.
Motion is made by Benson,
Second.
seconded by Jacobs. Any questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 2, approve the resignation of Sandy Carlson for food service staff effective June 3rd of 2022.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Buchtel,
Second, Boleen.
seconded by Boleen. Any comments or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 3, approve the resignation of Heidi Mack, 5th grade teacher, effective June 30th of 2022.
So move Benson.
Motion is made by Benson,
I'll second.
seconded by Sheehan. Any discussion? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 4, approve the resignation of Heidi Mack, varsity softball coach, effective June 30th of 2022.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Buchtel,
Second Benson.
seconded by Benson. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 5, approve the resignation of Brittany Stein, National Honor Society advisor, effective June 3rd of 2022.
So moved Jacobs.
Motion is made by Jacobs,
Second, Boleen.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 6, approve the resignation of Tyler Schindler, junior high girls basketball coach, effective June 3rd of 2022.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Buchtel,
Second Benson.
seconded by Benson. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 7, approve the resignation of Tyler Schindler, junior high track coach, effective June 3rd of 2022.
So moved, Boleen.
Motion is made by Boleen,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 8, approve the resignation of TJ Gleggy, junior high girls basketball coach, effective June 3rd of 2022.
So move.
Motion is made by Sheehan,
Second.
seconded by Jacobs. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 9, approve the resignation of TJ Gleggy, junior high softball coach, effective June 3rd of 2022.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Buchtel,
Second.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 10, approve the resignation of Brett Aldray, junior high track coach, effective June 3rd of 2022.
I'll make the motion.
Sheehan made the motion,
Second, Boleen.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 11, approve the resignation of Carol Tisdale, ECFE Monday night class paraprofessional, effective June 2nd of 2022.
So move.
Motion is made by Bowen,
Second Benson.
seconded by Benson. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 12, approve Melissa Hoffman Bodin, assistant principal, assistant principal, effective July 1st of 2022, and this is enclosure A. for the
I'd like to
contract.
make a motion to table this for now so we can kind of discuss this a little further. Because we really haven't really talked much about this.
I told you about it before the last board meeting, and we
Yeah.
brought it up at the last board meeting. It's replacing the counselor's position. We need somebody to fill this position. It would be next to impossible to run without somebody in that position. Nobody has applied. We've still gotten no applications for the counselor position. And so then we decided it's basically the same position. We'll open it up to a dean and to an assistant principal. I think we got really lucky. I think you're really going to like her. She's had a very diverse experience in a lot of different schools. When I say that, it's not been jumping from job to job to job, but she came very highly recommended from the former principal at McRae, Melissa Sparks. So we absolutely need somebody in that position, and we're actually gaining, we're gaining a administrative license in the building, which is nice too.
So she's actually gonna do the counseling side, not the principal side.
But she'll be
Or-
able to help. So then we're hoping that the plan is that she's able to do discipline. And so allowing us to free up Mr. Benson to get into classrooms, to be working with teachers like a principal should.
But then do we need the dean of students, Mr. Flam, because realistically, he can't discipline then.
No,
So
well,
we
he's-
don't need him anymore then.
You can discipline.
He's pre-K through grade 6. This is a focus on 7-12.
His was the whole school when we made the contract. His contract was the dean of students for the whole school. So if we're putting her partly in the part of his job, wouldn't we lessen his pay
No.
because we're taking away from him?
Brett, do you want to
So
comment
he's
on?
not realistically doing the
Mr.
whole
Flan has
job.
been the dean of students for K-6.
Yeah, it's just been K-6 all year. This is
Yeah.
fine.
So we actually, when we hired him back here in the contract, he actually was only K through 6. We don't have, when you explained that to us, it was for the whole school back then.
Well, certainly there are times where if Mr. Benson is busy with something, or maybe he's out of the district, and I'm not available, that he can jump in and help with those things. But that was always our plan, was to have him focus on K-6.
But his contract doesn't read K through 6. His contract reads dean of students for the school.
Yeah, it's contract.
Right. Well, Mr.
I have it.
I don't know that
It's right
his,
here. Activities director, community ed coordinator, and dean of students. It doesn't specify K through 6. And no point did it specify.
that's where he's focusing. That's where we've had him focus.
So we thought we were hiring a full-time, somewhat dean of students and a full-time person for that.
Never.
He was
So
never
what
full-time.
percent does he do? He's got 3 jobs.
You
What
should have that information. We sent that.
Yeah, I think at one time it said 77, 22, and 7,
7%.
7, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dean.
22% of his
Or
time
K, yeah.
was only going to be K through 6.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how we've set it up since day one.
Okay, so currently we have a motion by Sandy motion to table number 12 until it would be July, because you can only table 1 month. So is there a second?
Well,
Yeah, you only table 1 month. Or unless you need to want to have a special meeting.
we would have to have a special.
Okay.
A work session for them.
No, it has to be a special
It'd
meeting,
have
so you
to
have to approve it.
Okay.
So,
It'd be- I mean, I don't understand why this is. Hiring people is what you hired me to do.
Mhm.
So this is what we need to do. Structure, it says right in my contract, setting up the admin structure. This is what we need. I don't see why we drag our feet on it.
I don't
Well-
believe we should table it for a month because it sounds, and you and I had a conversation about Melissa Bodine, and it sounds like she's going to be a great fit. I remember back when we were kind of discussing, I feel like there's a lot of people in this room that really wanted to have 2 principals at the time we were restructuring when Mr. Menton took over as superintendent. So I do feel like this is going to be a great position doing the counselor, assistant principal. She can help with disciplinary issues, which we know has been keeping people very busy. And I just feel like we should vote on this tonight.
So let me ask you this, where did the money come from to put towards this wage then? Because we were in deficit spending, so where did we get the money to cover
We're
this?
not hiring a
Okay,
counselor.
so the counselor was equal to this.
It's a little bit less, but yeah,
What's,
10 maybe.
10,000?
It depends on who you get.
Right,
There's nobody out there looking for jobs. So if we put this off, she's probably going to take a job someplace else, and
well, I don't,
and then we're really in a tough spot.
I was one of them that wanted
Mhm.
the assistant.
And we
without the
probably all
dean,
wanted
without
that.
the dean,
Yeah.
Because the assistant
Mhm.
can obviously do more than a dean of students. To me, like, I feel like now we're wasting our money on a dean of
We were
students when he
looking for two
couldn't really,
full-times. You wanted 2 full-time principals.
yeah,
Mhm.
your principal and your assistant.
Mhm.
Back then, we talked, I had asked, why don't we do that?
I understood it as two full.
I understood it as an elementary principal and a high school principal.
Yeah,
both
me too.
full-time is what I understood in the past, is what
Yeah.
we wanted.
Well, yeah,
And then the other side of it is when we hired Mr. Minton, their job was, this is what they thought would work best for the school.
Mhm.
There was way more discipline this year than there,
right.
not just in our school, but in every school.
Mhm.
And so now his job is to try to staff our school so that it can run the most effective, be the best for the students, be the safest for the students. And so he's found someone to fill the spot.
Oh, I don't deny this. I mean, I'm just thinking that we're spending money elsewhere where maybe it's not feasible fiscally over here. This is what I believe should, you have a principal and assistant principal because they can do more. They can discipline, but having a dean of students then to me would be, let's change up that job in the process then. Before we do this, let's change that job and put these two.
I wouldn't change a contract mid-contract.
We're looking at filling roles here, and the role that Derek fills as the dean is he is taking over the discipline for grades K through 6. There's no way one person could do a discipline K-12. There's absolutely no way. So what we've had was Mr. Benson was focusing on discipline 7 through 12, but it became apparent week one of the school year that he was getting pulled in all kinds of different directions. And you want your principal to be able to be out there with teachers, working with teachers, and this is going to be our plan to get him in there doing that. So we're not only filling that counselor role, we got to be careful. I don't want to call it a counselor, but we're filling the counselor role and we're gaining an assistant principal license in the building, which is going to be very nice.
For just like 10,000 more,
For about
roughly.
approximately. You don't know who you're going to hire, so
No,
And obviously Lindsay was consulted in this
Yes.
decision.
Yeah.
Financially, so. My point is, right now, I've got a motion that hasn't been seconded, so either it needs to be withdrawn or we need a second and we need to vote on it.
or it could
Right.
die for most.
Right, so we need something to give here that way. So would anybody like to second the motion to table number
Well,
12?
I'll second the motion just because if you don't feel like you've had your questions answered and we just got this and you just want to discuss it more. Do we need to go over her benefits at all as a board? Like we do other people, do we need to look over that like we've done with others? That's my question, is that since we just got it and we haven't had time to do that,
Okay, so
that'd be my question to everybody else.
we have a motion and a second to table, and we will have to have a special meeting before the end of June, correct?
We can't let her go, right?
Right.
So I hope
So-
this does not pass.
Well,
Well, and it's nothing against her. I just was hoping we would, things like this, I wish we'd have some kind of a meeting prior and we don't have to do this, like something saying, okay, this is what my thoughts are, this is where I'm at. What do you, I mean, I know you,
And I know you
you've
weren't
got
at the
your,
last meeting, but I said that we were going to do this at the last meeting. I wrote it to the board, I sent it out as an email, and then at the board meeting, I said we were doing this in live. And I know you weren't there.
Okay, so any further discussion on this motion to table this?
Like, again, I just
let it
want to
go.
reiterate, my whole thing is like, with the other people that we hire, we go through their contracts, right? Yes, no?
We do.
Like-
That's why I'm wondering, are we
Well,
doing
you're
our
supposed to.
due diligence as a board, even though we want this person, should we not be going through that?
I guess I look at my role as a board member is to make sure Mr. Menton's contract is
Right,
up to
because that's
par.
the contract that
That's
we,
the one that we,
yeah, that
and
we're
then it's his
responsible
job
for.
is to set up contracts with his employees or with the people that are working under him. It's not our job to look at every contract.
And then he works with the business.
And he works with the
Manager.
business manager to help decide if it's possible for the school.
Yeah, we
Reading
discussed this
through
a
it,
lot.
I don't see anything that's out of hand as far as her benefits
No,
or any of those things.
I modeled it off of Mr. Benson's contract,
Pretty
and
standard.
I got rid of the sabbatical leave, which
See, these are just questions
is
that
strange
I
to
like
have in
hearing
there.
that, yeah, I didn't know that, But I think
Well-
doing our due diligence is just, it's always good to have checks and balances, not just, that's just what you do in life, you just have checks and balances.
Well, maybe if we let this
So
go
whatever.
through, at least maybe going forward, we can kind of at least do some of, a little bit more of that, maybe.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
Nope.
Okay, so what we're voting on is the motion to table number 12 until probably a few days from now, because it needs to be done before the end of June. So that is what we're voting on. So all in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion fails. All right, with that,
I'll make a motion to approve.
okay, going back to approve Melissa Hoffman Bodine, assistant principal, effective July 1st, 2021. Motion's made by Bodine,
Second.
seconded by Sheehan. Any further discussion?
Thank you for finding a person to fill the spot.
Yeah.
We got really
Mhm.
lucky.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I'll
No,
agree
it's
to
all
it this time, and I just, it's kind of nice to have a little bit more ahead of time, some of this information, so. But I'll agree.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing else, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 13, approve Thomas Meyer C Squad boys basketball coach effective June 27th of 2022.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Bookto,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 14, approve Brielle Lazinski as the National Honor Society Advisor effective June 27th of 2022.
Motion?
Motion is made by Sheehan,
Second, Boleen.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 15, approve Abigail Aguilar as the special education paraprofessional effective for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved, Bookto.
Motion is made by Bookto,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions?
I was gonna ask, how close are we to filling all the special ed? Are we still,
Still waiting
Really?
for application. Actually, special ed, no, special ed, we're good.
oh,
None of them are licensed special ed teachers, but we've actually got all that filled.
okay,
I'll comment on that here.
okay.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing else, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the reports, and we'll begin with our superintendent's report.
All right, I'm not gonna, my numbering got off here, but I'm not gonna read through the three things that the legislature passed. I'll say that I was disappointed that they weren't able to figure out something on special ed cross subsidies. We're probably spending close to $900 per student in the district to offset what the federal and state governments are supposed to be giving us for special ed. if they were giving that to us like they should, we would have very few financial troubles right now. We'd be in a much better position.
How many
So-
students roughly do we have for special?
In special ed, my consultant just left. 50, just real ballpark guess.
Is that right?
But when I say it's that number per student is district wide. So multiply that approximately $800, $900
Mm-hmm.
by 640 students, and that's how much we're spending out of our general fund to make up this disparity from the government. So they've talked about it a lot. Hopefully next year they're able to get something through. I'll point out number 2, they did increase the amount that the school board member may receive from the school district. What that means is if you would like to help as a substitute teacher, you can make up to $20,000 a year and still be a board member. So I'll show you how to apply for that.
We'll jump on that.
Yeah.
A long list of us.
Yeah. Let's see. Then I'm jumping down to here's where my number got a little off. It's number 4, mission and vision. We talked a little bit at our meeting the other day with the strategic planning task force about possibly looking at revising our mission and vision. I sent out a survey to that group, and I think we had 16 respondents, and I don't remember the exact number, but probably 13 of them or so said yes, or maybe we need to, there was one maybe, to look at definitely the vision statement, but also the mission. I think it's a good idea. We should talk about that every now and then. Let's see, the Head Start contract. I've had a number of people ask me about that room. We're so short for rooms. Why can't we take over that Head Start room? And the contract that was signed before I started here ran through this year, and then it gave Head Start the option for the next 5 years to tell us whether or not they still want that room. I ran this past the attorney because I couldn't find a way out. I showed Jill. Jill's like, well, there has to be a way out.
There's no way out.
There's no way out. So I don't know how that got through, but if people are asking about, you're tight, why can't you use that space, take it back over? We can't. So
Not until there's a new contract that gives us.
Yeah. In 6 years, in 5 more years, yeah. So I was a little frustrated about that. Let's see. Next time my thing is a Nexus update, but real quick, I'll talk about staffing a little bit. We're looking at options. I met with Doug Froke, the superintendent at RCW, to talk about possibly sharing some teachers. They're in the same boat we are, but with elementary teachers. Last time we talked, they had 3 elementary positions open and no applicants. This is kind of unheard of in education. When students used to tell me that they were going into elementary ed, I would tell them all the time, well, make sure you've got something to back it up. Get a special ed license, or this, or a reading specialty, or any number of things, or be able to teach something at the high school level. Because back then, we would get piles and piles of applications for elementary. Now there's nothing. And it's going to be a huge problem statewide. And I'm not kidding. There were stacks of them. You'd go through applications and say, well, I see a misspelling here, so I'm going to set that one aside. We have no luxury like that anymore. They could write it on a resume on a napkin, and we'd probably interview them. So that's where we're at. We did, Sandy, you'd asked about special ed, and as I said, we were lucky enough to find, that's Joy's going to she resigned her position. She's going to do special ed. We've got Mary Jo Gabbert, who's coming on. Bill's going to do another year of special ed. So we're actually full on special ed now. It's a science. If you know of good people that maybe they're retired, maybe they're looking for a career change, because our options are thin right now. We're going to use our ag teacher to teach science classes because they can, but we still want one more position. And so if you knew somebody that used to work for the DNR or they've got some science background, send them our way. Suggest, hey, ever thought of teaching? We've got support for new teachers. We hired the Southwest Service Co-op to come in and do special mentoring with them. And it used to be Karen Schulte, but she's actually moving on. And so we've got a new person now that's going to be doing that. Yeah, if anybody's out there looking for something a little different, we'd love to talk to them. And Mr. Benson, do we have one or two elementary positions still available? One. Okay.
Question for you, where are we with our wage base for starting elementary positions? Are we competitive that we would look attractive for someone wanting to come here?
We're decent for the starting wage. When they look at the top end, if you compare to, I was talking to a teacher from one of the neighboring districts who had indicated some interest in coming here, but they needed 75,000. We don't have any teachers that make even close to that. I think our highest paid teacher is 63. We had people that retired back in 2004 that were making 60 plus, 62,000 or so. There's nobody even close to that anymore.
And that's just wage, that's not benefits on top of that, right?
That's just wage, you're right.
Right.
Yep. So add another 20% to that.
Yeah. So when they're asking for 75, are they asking 75 just as a wage and
Yeah.
benefits on top?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. Yep.
So the numbers we get when we contract with the teachers, is that they're just basic wage or is that?
That's just their wage.
Yeah. So there
So-
were some that were higher than that on that sheet.
Than 60?
I think so.
No, our top
I don't think so.
teacher just broke 64 this year or 63.
I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that's part of the problem.
But like with our colleges, like with elementary program that would be seniors, would they be able to come assist teaching?
There are schools that are doing that. There's schools that are starting to pay their student teachers to come. That's actually one of the issues with people going into teaching is they know that they're going to have to take a semester where they not only do they not get paid, but they have to pay to do a semester of teaching, and it's a turnoff, and you know it's a different generation too. They're, I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole millennial thing, but you know, so it's there's
It is one way that things have changed. I mean, even in the medical profession or healthcare, you paid for a semester of classes, but you spent most of your time working for somebody else. And if they gave you a couple dollars, that was nice, but they didn't have to give you anything.
yeah.
You just went and worked, put in your time, put in your hours.
And back then there were, at least in education, I don't know about for you, but there were so many people going into education that why would we pay them? But yeah, it's getting tough. So yeah, if we knew of students that were student teaching, and yeah, I'd absolutely look into how we could pay them to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be, maybe we should be to invent the wheel on that one,
With,
Yeah.
just to
With-
get them in.
yeah, with some definite support, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But really, when you're talking like the college kids, they've been taking a lot of teaching classes. They've already been in classrooms. If they're student teaching, they know that this is what they want to do. And for the most part, they're going to be decent.
And how attractive would that be to get paid to help pay for you paying for it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely something that we should discuss. And you know, there's a lot of maybe you look at, I don't know, I hate to say paying like for college for people, because now it's almost like you're talking about loan forgiveness programs, which I'm really opposed to. But at the same time, I want to get good teachers in here.
Mhm.
So,
Right, well, it's just like paying somebody for their work. If someone's gonna work for you, just pay them. I mean, you know what I mean? Go beyond that, just say, hey, we're willing to pay you for your time.
so next I asked Nexus to give us an update here, and they've got,
Great.
yep. Hey, you want to do that?
Well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have.
All right.
So I guess.
We've got Ellie and Brent. I think you probably all remember Ellie and Brent from Nexus. Ellie's going to take us through this presentation here, and there we go.
So the agenda tonight is just kind of high level our planning process. And then I figured I'd share, we did a survey with all the staff, and I thought I'd share some of those results with you. And then some of the work that we've done so far to date, and then kind of a timeline and next steps.
It's just go up a little bit, yeah. There, that's good.
So kind of with the strategic planning and the facility planning, this has just been, I'm not gonna go into great detail, we've kind of gone through this before. But we start with listening and then assessing, solving, when hopefully get to communicate, you know, that's what we're here tonight, telling you where we're at, and then eventually implement. So right now, this is kind of just high level where we're at. The concept introduction was in January. Right now, we're in the facility assessment and strategic planning. That's kind of where we gather staff input. The strategic planning's been going on right alongside with the facility condition assessment and along with the educational adequacy. And the difference, so facility conditions kind of your deferred maintenance, and the educational adequacy is more like your learning styles, needs, different, how to update the building to this today's learning, basically. So we're planning to present the reports to you in the fall. We're developing facility options. We'll have conceptual floor plans and conceptual budgets at that time. So here is kind of high-level staff survey. It was a 60-question survey that was taken between May 25th and June 1st. We had great, 65% of the staff responded, which is great. As we come to some of the charts, you'll see 0 is lowest, 4 is highest. They're kind of red-green, so the 0s pop out more red. The 4s are green. But before we get to those, this is kind of basically how the building affects the productivity of the staff and students. So with lighting, about 72% was satisfactory, that's decent. We know we shoot for somewhere between like 80%, so that's decent with that. Thermal comfort, almost half and half, where satisfactory versus poor. People aren't real comfortable in their buildings, whether they're cold, hot, whatever, throughout the building. So that's something that, again, hopefully after a building's updated, you can get somewhere between like 80%. You're never gonna please everyone, but if you can get the majority, that's better. Acoustic quality, satisfactory 57%. Again, not great numbers, but, and then indoor air quality was the same as acoustic. So, appearance of the building. So I'm not gonna go into all of it. You can kind of see where the red kind of stands out. That's the 0 to 4 scale. The building, the feel that they got was it feels somewhat safe and secure, not completely safe and secure. And I think, you don't have the secure entrance. They have to be buzzed in, but they go into the building is kind of the problem there. The building rates poor in motivating students, like coming into the building does not motivate them. And it lags in most of the ratings here. For learning, does not facilitate faculty planning and team teaching. So it's kind of just different learning styles. There's not a lot of flexibility for different learning styles as well. And it's for reconfiguring. There's not a lot of like furniture or different spaces to reconfigure the different learning styles. So this is just stuff we take into account when we're looking at educational adequacy and looking at the building. Space needs, poor rankings across all space. So again, that's kind of the different learning styles, the one-on-one, the peer-to-peer, makerspace, STEM, all that type of thing. So it just kind of, it ranks poor across there. You can see the red. And then miscellaneous is just kind of the athletic space. There's a desire for, it wasn't terrible, but a desire for improved outdoor and athletic space. And then the traffic flow at the school is marginal. So at the end of the survey, we kind of just asked a couple referendum questions. So basically, are you aware of any public concerns for a referendum? And these are actually, this one was supposed to come off, sorry. They kind of say the same thing. So public concerns, it's about half and half, yes and no. Main concerns, affordability, division of the community's trust, and usage of Bird Island. And then should Bird Island be used, in some capacity? And most of the staff said no. And if it was, the people that did say yes, they kind of said for what purpose, either gym space or community events. So that was kind of summing that up. So overall, the highest and they weren't real high, but the highest was a safe and secure environment, comfortable and flexible furniture, and then the playground and athletic fields. Lowest, honestly, the motivating of the students, but just the main gist of it is the learning spaces, like having different flex spaces, one-on-one space, breakout spaces, that was kind of what fell the lowest. Oh, and the bottom one, which I didn't touch on before, appropriate special ed spaces. And that's pretty common in all districts, special ed, it says it gets put in like closets and it gets in the leftover spaces. And so coming up with a space where they're taught in where like they deserve. So work to date. I'll start with strategic planning and then I'll hand it over to Brent. We're about halfway through the process of strategic planning. We conducted the discovery meeting, which is basically just kind of informing the admin what it's all about, is kind of what it was. And then we've had 3 executive action team meetings, which is basically Jim and the admin team is who we call it the EAT team. There's been 2 task force meetings with, actually, I've been really impressed with the turnout. Like, I feel like we've had really good turnout at those. And the first one we had a tornado warning, so that was super fun too. Then we're in the process of developing the strategic directions, measures, and initiatives. And then along that, the final thing will be developing a visual element for the final plan.
From a facility condition assessment standpoint, to date, we've been focused on the Olivia site. We've had 8 different subject matter expert firms in here assisting us on that. So we've had 16 outside consultants plus we have probably about 4 or 5 Nexus internal people scouring this building. We've gone through the civil site survey issues, electrical, mechanical, envelope, things of those, all the different systems. What's left to do is the pool survey. We actually had a pool consultant out last week. We just sort of assembling their information. And then the life safety EDA survey is in progress as well. We will be compiling all this into a report and most importantly into budgets, right? So you know what you're dealing with from a deferred maintenance in this building. From an educational adequacy standpoint, we met with the administration team a couple different times to review, once you close Bird Island and you move to this site, some sacrifices had to be made. Some spaces were lost when you brought everybody consolidated to the site. So we looked at what we need to gain back in any sort of remodeling. And our intent to the educational adequacy is one of the options, I should say, the concepts is how can we make this building basically like new, right? The community spoke loud and clear last time that while everyone would love a great, shiny, brand new, beautiful school, it really isn't in the cards from a fiscal affordability standpoint. So what can we do to make this building basically like new and renovate it, renew it, rejuvenate it for the next 30, 40 years? So we did a couple of meetings with the administrative team. We created a concept for a year on what we demo, what we build new. We've also done the same thing, the different options for the site, where we might reconfigure parking, some different drop-off areas, some field needs, some drainage issues you have here, things of that nature. And then we're also, beyond the survey that Ellie just spoke about, we are now conducting some staff meetings just to bounce that first concept off them. We've told them there's no decisions made. This is just one concept. They'll see multiple concepts. But they live and work here every day. None of us do. You don't, we don't. And it gave us, we've been with a couple of them today, it gave us some great feedback. We'll meet with some more of the staff on the 12th. Again, it's just to say, hey, what are we missing here? What don't you like about it? What do you like? And that'll just make the solution even better. I mentioned this concept we're focused on right now to date has been the one building Olivia option. We do need to work with now, the next step, we're working on possible uses for Bird Island, both from just a school perspective and then the Island Hub, work with Mark and his group as far as some different reuse options for that site. We purposely focused on this one first just to give us a little time to see how the funding applications turned out, and I know there's another round that we're going after there. But I just want everyone to know that we said when we interviewed, and we're saying it again, we realized that multiple options need to be brought to you and the public to be tested and find out what's the right solution that will be ultimately supported. So that's what we've done to date.
All right, so back to strategic planning and next steps. So we have another 18 meeting, July 14th, and then the final task force meeting is August 2nd. And we'll hopefully, show some ideas on what, it might look like at that point. The final ET meeting is August 10th. So our plan is to finish all the strategic directions, measures, and initiatives and finalize the one page. And then present the strategic plan to the board at the August board meeting is the plan.
From a facility commission standpoint, wrapping up the few items that I mentioned before, the pool, the EDA, things of that nature, that will be wrapped up here in short order. Then it's really reviewing the assessment with the administration team. After we put all the budgets to everything, reviewing it with the administration team. In August, we'll also like to get to the facility committee and then ultimately to you, first viewing in the September timeframe. The educational adequacy follows a similar timeline, wrapping that up here in July with the facility committee again in August, and then start sharing it with the board in September. Again, that's just the initial sharing with you. I don't want you to think you're going to see it once and be done. This is going to be a very much an iterative process. We need to see in the note at the bottom here, we need to get a lot of community input. That's everything from having town hall meetings, tours of the buildings, public surveys. But first I need to vet it out with facility task force, facility committee, and yourselves to figure out what do we want to test with the public, right? And then we go with public input, come back, and then ultimately, if we can get consensus from support from the community, you can take action on a referendum. The earliest timeline that we see feasible is if we come back in the fall, get that community input, and we're able to get to a solution that everyone can support. The earliest you can make a decision from the board level would be in December. That would give you time to then do like an April of 23 referendum. If we're not ready in December, we're not ready. Meaning if the community is not ready, if you as a managing body here is not ready and comfortable, like I've said all along, there's no reason to go to a referendum until the time is right. So April referendum would be the soonest we could be out there. If that was what you choose to do and was successful, you would then go through the design phase, and the rest of 23, you're getting the very end of 23 for construction start in spring of 24. Any major project to renovate this site and or Bird Island, it would probably be a 2-year project. So you wouldn't be done with the inventory project until the end of 2025. So just putting it out there for the public and for the staff and everyone. I know everyone kind of asking us how fast is this moving, and it is. We want to keep it moving. We do hear a lot of support in the community as far as we want to do something, we want to support our schools. It's just now finding a solution that everyone can do. So.
I believe that is it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's all I have for mine.
It's good.
I don't overstep my bounds.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Benson, you're next on there.
Sorry, I didn't put it together. Mr. Menton was talking about teachers, looking for teachers. I've got somebody coming in tomorrow to talk about industrial arts, the tech aspect of it, which would help us roll into science for us. Working on state reporting, and then classes for next year, getting everything ready to go basically for the start of next school year. That's kind of what June and July are for what I'm doing at the moment. Any questions for me?
We've got a master schedule put together, but it's contingent on
Yes.
finding employees. So if we don't, we'll be rewriting that, and that's not fun.
All right, any questions?
Thank
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Benson. Activities report, Mr. Plan is not here, and that is in our packet. So if you have any questions for him, I'm sure he would be available to speak by email or by phone. And as well as school board committee reports. Does anybody have anything? Has anyone had a committee meeting that they'd like to report on?
I'd like
You
to
wanna-
talk about the finance committee meeting that we had and talked about the recommitment of funds in that area where, remember, they said there were like $725,000 worth of funds that weren't really broken down to exactly what they should be used for, but we as a board could decide what we wanted to do. So as the finance committee, we decided that we would like to bring to the board the idea of putting $250,000 back into community education fund out of that 725, and another was 26 or 28,000 back into the what do they call them, street assessments?
Street
Yeah.
assessment.
The street assessments, and the remainder of the $400,000, we agreed that that should be put to fix the roof of the Bird Island gym, because that has been taken out of rotation. And so we wanted to bring that to the board to vote on. And that's in, which one is it down?
That's-
It's yeah, it's in there, and I
It's a
think it shows
resolution.
the funds would go to the LTFM. So
We'll,
mhm.
Yep, it's number 8,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
so.
Thank you. An approval report is also included in a packet, and as usual, Tracy would welcome any questions that you might have. All right, moving on to new business. Number 1, approve the fiscal year 23 proposed budget, which is enclosure number 1.
So moved, Boleen.
Motion's made by Boleen,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions?
I guess.
Do we have to wait till the June meeting to do this usually, or can we do it earlier? Then, like, could we do this in May,
You could do it. you
or
could do it in
isn't feasible because funds?
May. I think that's kind of the problem, is sometimes you don't know what your final numbers are.
Because it always seems to be last minute.
Yeah,
It's like, wow, we gotta
I
wait.
think it's-
For the
the
last minute,
legislature's
nothing
always
is
been
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I guess I just didn't know.
Yeah, I think every year I've been here, it's been.
Yeah.
it's been now.
Oh, I know. It's like, so.
Yeah, no, there's no
And I have-
reason you couldn't.
But then you'd probably have to go and do a revised proposed budget.
You
I
do
don't
that, you do that
Yeah, you
anyway.
do
Yeah,
that
you do that
anyway,
anyway.
but
I think it gives you a little more solid footing,
Numbers.
a little bit more solid numbers.
So my question is, it's showing that we're like in deficit spending for like the net income. It's showing a deficit for the general fund, for the food service fund, and for community service. Would it be to our benefit if we were to know that all that breakdown that Lindsay gave us, and it was showing like $6,383 we get per pupil or per student? We're supposed to take a 5-year average of that to see what we get in for the general fund. My question is if we're going to run that, if that's the proposed budget for this year, should we consider referending some money for operations to make these zero, or put an extra little balance in there instead of running in the red and being so close and seeing where we are, where that 3 to 4 month, have enough in there so we have a 3 to 4 month bump in there. I think if the general public sees that we need this, they're going to see like, okay, we need to be doing more for the school. And I think that's going to help even our building thing too. It's like the school needs more, and to show them that we need more instead of always running in the red, let's say, hey, let's go for help. They want us to go for help. Why are we struggling? We want something for our students. Let's do something about it, and let's ask for some money to get that in as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're nickel diming ourselves like, oh, we can't even afford to mail out our packets to us. Seriously, when you can't even mail out the packet, we need to, let's just do something. Let's figure it out what it is. Let's call a
I don't know
special
that you
work
can.
session.
I don't disagree. I think that, we are also undertaking this facility study, which would also be some more than likely some kind of bond referendum. So, and operating and bond are separate, but I mean, I think they need to work hand in hand a little bit. So I guess.
Which I think they will.
So maybe you could do both in the spring, are you saying?
I think
I don't know, I'm
Or-
just saying that we need to look at,
What we could look at doing, and I would definitely have to do a lot of studying on this, but what we could look at doing is, because you pass a referendum, doesn't mean you have to take the money every year. That's part of the I forget what they call that, but you can under levy every year and just say, hey, we asked you for an extra $500 per student, but we really only need 300.
350.
Yeah, whatever it might be. Just I'm throwing numbers out there. We could look at doing something like that if and when we fix the facilities issues. It's going to cost us a heck of a lot less to operate every year. And if that were the case and everything's working out, you could under levy then. When did we do that? I think in September or October maybe. But yeah, there's nothing saying that you have to keep taking money just because
And this
You're
would be,
asking for
this would be like just to, to help us with running the school. I mean, I don't think it should go right now. I hope that we've satisfied our staff with the wage increases in their contracts. I hope they're satisfied so that these monies can go into just have a little bit extra in our bubble for like if something breaks down, a little something extra in our bubble for those emergency repairs.
You got two different things though. You got bond or you have your referendum and you got your levy. So bond is building.
Right.
Right.
So that would
if
be
you,
building, helping with that.
but then if you go out for referendum again, I'm not sure if you can do that back to back.
Well, you can.
Within
Yeah,
4
this
months.
needs to be,
if it's something you'd like me to look into,
yes.
Yeah,
I
please.
will.
I think with just from looking at
Because
the plan, the earliest this gets done, if everything goes perfect, is
Mhm.
2025.
Yeah, and that's for doing
For the
something
building.
big. I'm saying it helps.
No, that's what I'm
now.
saying. We have
Yeah.
to do, you got to try to make this place go until 2025.
And we got to have stuff for.
Yeah, there's deadlines coming up. If we were to run something in November, that we would have to. It might be too late actually.
Well,
But can you do operating that you can do 4 times a year, or was that the bond?
No, but I think that's bond was operating. We can do.
I think you're right.
I don't want to say.
I don't know
Okay.
for
publicly.
sure. One of them
I
you
think the
can.
bond-
I think I know, but I'm not going to say it out loud and
Yeah.
be wrong.
Well, I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah, I'll look into that and I'll send you an update.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions about the fiscal year 23 proposed budget?
Well, did anybody listen to the recording? And like Lindsay was even saying,
Oh, yeah.
I just want to reiterate too, you know, the transportation's probably going to really go
Mhm.
up. utilities
Yeah,
And all that.
for sure.
We really need to help
Food.
ourselves. And
Mhm.
I can't help but believe that the general public isn't going to be like, hey, we have to dig in our pockets to help the kids now. We need this for the schools now. Just like till we get something decided, we can't skim it so slim.
Mhm.
The kids have been through enough,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
anyway,
Great.
that's all I have to say. I think.
All right, anything else? I won't even ask. All right, with hearing that, hearing nothing else, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
They, so you
Motion
can't approve it.
All right, number 2, approve the Costa Rica trip for mid-March of 2023. They will be going through Interact Travel out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. This will be a 7-day trip.
I'll make a motion if I can go.
I don't think motions can be continued.
I think that was an abuse of
That was totally an abuse of power.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
All right.
I'll
thank you.
second.
Motion is made by Moline, seconded by Buchtel. Any,
We do have Ms. Sabota here to answer questions if you do have any.
What part are you going to?
Well, we're going to near San Jose, so part of the family stays in Alajuela, and then the west coast, but not the Nicoya Peninsula. That's the itinerary that I believe we'll be doing.
My favorite.
all right, any other questions? Thank
How many
you.
of these trips have been done?
Pardon me?
How many times have you gone there?
I've gone, I've only gone once with Bold. I've gone with Hector, I've gone with Wilmer.
Okay.
I believe the last time Bold went was 2019. We had planned to go to Panama in 2021 and 2022, but those got canceled.
Thank you.
All right.
Profe.
All right, hearing no other discussion, we will vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 3, approve the vendor of the property and casualty insurance. It's enclosure number 2. Superintendent recommends PMC Insurance Companies, which is Johannes Agency, Inc. of Olivia.
So moved.
Motion is made by Bowen,
Second.
seconded by Sheehan. Any discussion or questions?
Paul did show up here. I think I told you at the last meeting or the meeting before that we walked around the grounds, took a look at everything. We found that we had, like, the new shed had not been insured ever.
Oh,
So
oops.
I suggested we get that insured, and he agreed that that was a good idea. We've actually changed the wording on here if you're on page 3. Before it just said things like shed. So now you can actually see specifically the football shed, the Steffel shed, the track shed, et cetera. The coverages on here, like if something big happened and let's say whatever the first one is, the football shed blew down and it was going to cost more than $35 to repair that, we'd still be covered for that. That's just an estimate here as to how much insurance we should have on that. So, but we're covered.
All right, any questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 4, approve the vendor of the workers' compensation insurance, enclosure number 2. Also enclosure number 2. Superintendent recommends AmTrust North America, which is also the of the Johannes Agency, Inc. of Olivia.
So moved.
Motion is made by Buchtel,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Are there any changes to anything in the workers' compensation insurance?
No.
No. Any questions anyone has or discussion? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on. Number 5 is to designate the 2022-2023 official school newspaper. It's enclosure number 3. And the Renville County Register is being recommended as the designated official school newspaper of the 2022-2023 school year.
So move bullying.
Motion made by Blaine,
Second Benson.
seconded by Benson. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 6, approve the 2022-2023 dairy bids. Received 2 bids, 2 milk bids, Prairie Farms and Kemp LLC. It is recommended that the board approve Kemp's LLC as the district's dairy vendor, as well as to accept their firm bid for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Motion is made by Bowen,
I'll second.
seconded by Bookto. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 7, authorize the business manager and/or superintendent to sign all activity accounts, contracts, and approve blanket coverage for the 2022-2023 school year. This is an annual item. I'm not gonna read all this. Sorry.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion is made by Bookto,
Second bullying.
seconded by Boleen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, number 8, approve a resolution for committed fund balance. So this is a resolution, so I'll be reading this. Member
Bookto.
Bookto moved the following resolution. Resolution for committed fund balance, whereas the Government Standard Accounting Board, which is GASB, has issued statement number 54, establishing a hierarchy clarifying the constraints that govern how a government entity can use amounts reported as fund balance, and whereas the Board of Education is the highest level of decision-making authority and has the authority to commit, assign, or evaluate existing fund balance classifications and identify the intended uses of committed or assigned funds, and whereas, once the committed fund balance constraints are imposed, it requires the constraints to be removed by the Board of Education prior to redirecting funds for other purposes, and whereas the Board of Education has determined it will reallocate the existing committed amount of $765,044.71 of the general fund for the year ending June 30th of 2022. So community service payback of $250,000, Olivia Street assessment $26,250, and roof repairs of $488,794.71. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bold School District, Independent School District 2534, in accordance with the provisions of GASB 54, hereby reallocate $765,144.71 is indicated above by the committed funds classification, and in funds in the committed general fund cannot be used for any purpose other than directed above unless the Board of Education adopts another resolution to remove or change the constraints. So member
Bowen.
Bowen seconded the motion to approve the resolution, and upon a vote being taken therein, the following voted in favor.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yep.
I would like inserted where it says roof repairs to say Bird Island Gym roof repair. Instead of that being so vague.
I have one question about that. Is that, I completely agree that roof needs to be replaced. But being that we're going through this process, are we 100% certain that we're going to be using that gym for what we use it for now? Do we want to maybe just leave it in LTFM and not designate exactly what it's for, just in case?
How much does it cost to do it?
How much was the cost? It wasn't the
It would be-
489, was it?
Pretty much most of that.
Was it most of it?
It'd be in
Right about
the-
that.
Yeah.
Okay. I totally agree it needs to be done. I mean, it just,
Yeah, well, we agreed at the finance committee, and the thing is regardless of what we do, it's one gym we're gonna need that we won't have to build. If we're gonna need as many
Yeah.
gyms as we can, and it's a nice gym.
it is an
And
issue.
I think it'd be silly for us to not fix it. It's out of rotation anyway. And it's.
Do we have other
massive-
roofs that are out of rotation? I mean, I'm just asking, are there any other
Right.
things that
are
we need to look
educating.
The
at?
only thing
Well, we're
is they're
educating.
thinking about
Right.
Maybe doing some major remodeling
Right.
where that gym is. going to
Or
stay
here's
there.
another
And that-
question.
that's what
Can
I
it
was-
get rolled into the bond referendum in the spring of 23? And,
Certainly
but then
could,
would
yes.
you, but then when would it be able to get done?
Right. We have the funds there now. Let's
Mm-hmm.
fix it and let's hang on to that asset that we have. Make it whole.
And I don't know, is this, if we would sell that building,
Right, then it's not our
then
gym.
Right.
we can
That's-
keep whatever we want of the building.
I mean, I foresee us using it, but are we 100% sure? Not
No.
really.
I'd say we're 90% sure.
Well, nothing's really for sure.
I mean,
But if we've
right.
got it- We haven't taken care of it
I agree.
all this
I
time.
agree.
And if
Mhm.
some one little thing happens over
Mhm.
there, we're gonna, what are
But
we gonna
there's,
do? if we
there's
don't-
also
We're
probably
educating-
other things
We've
that
used-
are,
We're educating kids here, and if we need these roofs repaired, where there's kids 9 out of the 12 months, that's I'd rather have it go there. Or leave it
I
in
don't
our
even,
gym.
I'm not even
That
saying I
gym.
want it to go somewhere else. I'm
I
not
guess I would
sure.
look at it that the finance committee sat down and said, this is what it should.
I'm on the
be.
finance committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did talk about it, you know. I just thinking about it, I don't know if we need to be that specific and maybe we want to think about it or look at it a little bit more.
Or we've got
I
a
don't know. Because we can
facilities-
still certainly use it for that. It's in here as roof repairs.
Yeah.
I
Got a-
definitely
But
think
they
it
could
has to be
slip out the door
specific.
tomorrow
And
and
a
something
company
else
that we
that.
also are
Sorry.
working with our roofs, right? And there's a company that is advising us on what.
Yeah, Garland.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I guess I would take what they say as the next roof that needs to be done. I mean, I'm not saying we should not do it. I don't want to be that specific. I just don't.
The reason
I
why the
agree,
School's
yeah.
the way it is right now is because the roof wasn't fixed before.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So if it needs to be fixed, we need to fix it.
But does it make sense to put it in the bond?
No,
No.
we have the funds here and that's why we're trying to recommit these funds. Let's use them.
Oh, I agree.
I think we
Use
should
them.
see what
Kick the can
Garland
down the
says on
road.
which roof needs to be done first. I'm not an engineer of roofing. I think that we need to go by what they say that needs to be done first.
The only
So I
thing-
don't want to be
It was part
specific.
of our rotation and we took it out.
Yeah.
So it's
I know,
not
but-
on-
but
But
there's
there's
other ones
probably
that are out of
other things that
rotation.
were part of the rotation too.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're gonna need this gym, whether you want to admit it or not, we're gonna need this gym.
Mhm.
And why build another gym when you have one?
Mhm.
The foundation, the brick and mortar is there.
I agree with everything you're saying.
Okay.
I just wonder if we need to be that specific for the resolution.
Well, currently
Because it
we
is
have
roof
a-
repairs.
As this is, go
Go ahead.
What worries me is, okay, we're here for the public, and if we're not gonna take care of what we have,
Mhm.
they're gonna look at it and say, if they're not gonna take care of this, why would we want to give them money for this? I just,
Well, we will, but
I-
it's to
it's-
designate it to a specific location. I think we need to let Garland choose that. I mean, if they're the roof engineers, they need to be the ones that say this is what needs to happen.
Well, in the second paragraph, if we reread it, it says, whereas the Board of Education is the highest level of decision-making authority.
Right, but I'm not an
roof-
engineer
yeah,
of a
these are
roof.
Have to
roofing
be.
people. Well,
But if we're educating kids in
well, then Why do
here,
we employ these, or why do we bring these companies on if we don't listen to them?
Right.
That's
That's
me.
my whole point.
Well,
The companies
Right.
have been telling us we've been out of rotation.
okay.
I'm
so-
honestly fine with either way, but it was just a point that I thought
Okay.
about that I wanted to bring up.
Well, at this
so.
point, as written, we have a motion and a second. So if you guys that did the motion and second want to change that, that's the way it gets changed, I guess.
to
I
be
would
specific.
rather leave it the way it is, but know that I do agree with putting the money into the Bird Island roof.
You okay with that, or do you want to?
Do you want to leave it as it is, or do you want to specify?
Oh, I'd have to rescind it to just restate it as the Bird Island Gym.
Well, I don't know how you do it.
Rhode
One
Island roof.
is- One person said they're okay with it. Maybe.
I guess I
I'm
wasn't
okay
at
with
the
whatever.
finance meeting, but I'm assuming that it was discussed and that was said that that's what it was gonna go to. My only question was how much does it cost to do the roof? I just
I
wanna know
don't
what the number is.
remember.
What does it cost to do that roof? Does it take 488? Because if you
I
put
don't
Rhode Island,
remember.
if you put the Rhode Island roof repairs on it.
Mhm.
Then if it's not 488, then what do? Then we have to
Just recommit it.
Yeah.
put
You
it
could just
somewhere else.
recommit it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine either way.
Technically,
Mhm.
you could repair any part of any roof with that money.
Is that what it was said at the meeting? Bird Island roof? Were you in
No,
the facilities?
No.
It was
said
said
for
both. It was said both ways. So, yeah,
But at the very end on tape, it'll say that even Tracy said she agrees that it's Rhode Island Road.
and that's fine.
Mhm.
If some disastrous thing happened, we could always go through this again
Okay.
and redirect it.
So the first thing basically is you're gonna go to Bird Island first by this.
By what this
So what,
says.
what do I
Do
need?
you want it on
Right here.
paper to say Bird Island roof?
So
Yeah,
I
that's,
know.
that's
Or
what I'm,
do-
that's
is
what
there
I'm
no
looking
trust
for.
that we-
just amend that.
So I just rescind it and I'll
We'll
just
just,
say
I
that,
think we can amend it.
yeah, say with the Bird Island roof.
I don't even know how to do that, so we'll just figure that out later.
I think the spirit of this is everybody wants this changed. So
Yeah.
we might not be doing it exactly like Robert would like, but
Yeah. Okay. So with that, motion was made and seconded, a little amendment being taken. Therein, the following voted in favor. Todd.
Aye.
Jamie.
Nay.
Tracy.
Aye.
Teresa.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
And I vote nay. So motion carries 5-2, or the resolution passes. So, all right. Moving on. So number 9, approve the MSBA membership for the 2022-2023 school year for the MSBA policy service renewal 2022-2023 school years. Enclosure number 6. Looks like it went up about just a little under $1,000, and then the renewal fee went up about, for the policy service manual, went up $20. So
So moved.
motion is made by Boleen,
Second, Bookto.
seconded by Bookto. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 10, approve the 2022-2023 resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League. Motion number 7. I will make the motion.
Second.
Motion is made by Hanson, seconded by Sheehan. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 11, approve the updated IRS standard mileage reimbursement rate for 5.625 cents per mile beginning July 1st of 2022.
So moved.
Motion is made by Boleen,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we will vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 12, approve a fundraiser of biking ticket sales for the Bold Student Activities Account. Money will be used for student benefits such as fan buses, weight room equipment, etc.
Make that motion.
Motion is made by Sheehan,
Second.
seconded by Bowen. Any discussion or questions?
Fan buses, do we do much of that anymore?
not much. What typically happens is we offer a fan bus and then nobody signs up.
Yeah.
So once in a while, we send them out, but we need to have a certain number of kids
Right.
sign up.
Or it's not feasible.
The last couple of years, you haven't been able to put people on a
Well,
bus
right,
together.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You didn't have events.
Nobody can go anywhere. So, any other discussion or questions? Hearing nothing, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 9, acknowledge and accept gift grants and requests. There is nothing this month. So some upcoming dates. Number 10, July 25th, 2022 school board meeting, August 22nd, 2022 school board meeting. Both 7 o'clock meetings here. I would like to set up a a work session with the board and Mr. Menton to do some goals for 22-23. So that maybe Mr. Menton can find some dates and put those out
Sure.
so that everybody remembers to come.
I couldn't come.
I know, I am totally, totally kidding, totally kidding, I'm sorry.
Discuss more than one thing at the
Todd was
work session,
busy
and
too.
list what they-
Yeah,
We have to
yeah,
list.
Cutting
yeah.
down
This will just be a goal setting.
Okay, because there's a number of things too. Can I request those later and then have those added? They'll be able to post them. Okay.
All right,
I get a bunch of stuff discussed.
with that, it is 8:25, and I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Motion is made by Hanson, seconded by Willeen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you all.
Jill, I'll be honest, even with the accent.